Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
What is going on, team, and thank you for tuning in. So you've been doing some CrossFit for a little bit of time now, and you're not sure if you're considered a beginner or intermediate, and you're not sure what are the things you should be focusing on in CrossFit. So we're going to break all those things down in this episode and help take your level to the next one. So we hope that you enjoy it, and let's get to it. Gas pedal. All right, 3, 2, 1.
What was that, two?
I know.
3, 2, 1.
Well, now we're in it.
To win it.
Your boy is feeling under the weather, so
Oh my God. Cry me a river.
you guys are going to get this wonderful voice. How does my voice sound?
Super normal. Like you're not sick at all.
Nice. Susie would never understand what I'm going through because she's not a man.
Yeah. I fear for Thomas because I'm going to have 2 men in the house and like one man cold is hard enough to manage.
I'm going to sip on this Ghost energy drink to keep my voice
Even
intact.
just now, my mom and dad came over to babysit Thomas. My mom was like, oh, like, how's Thomas doing? And I was like, he's fine. And she was like, oh.
I know where you're going with this.
Brandon said he's super sick. And I was like, no,
Well,
he just has a runny nose. Like, he's fine. He just has, like, a runny nose.
Oh, poor guy. He was crying all last week. His nose was running.
And
This was
my
several
mom
days
goes
ago,
like-
by the way.
My mom goes like,
this was-
what? And I was like, well, I guess Brandon has a man cold, so he's, like, sympathetically giving Thomas a man cold, but they're both fine. There's nothing wrong with them at all.
That's not true. Okay, Tommy had a really runny nose last week,
It
and
was
this was
like-
also 3 days ago. He's doing much better now.
Yeah.
But 3 days ago, he was coughing. He had a runny nose. He was definitely miserable. He was crying all the time.
Yeah, like, he definitely had a runny nose.
and he was
for sure.
crying all the time.
Yeah, but he's
Not
always
sleeping.
crying. He's been crying all the time since the
Not
last 10
s-
months. The fuck else is new? Hey, baby, so chill.
This is not the banter topic, folks.
Anyways,
but you're here, and
this
we're
is
here.
Just all this to say, Brandon is not sick, but pretending to be sick, and apparently he's making Thomas pretend to be sick too. And everybody is fine. We don't have time for sickness in this household.
We do not. But banter topic. Let's get into it.
I took a really cool class this Sunday.
I took a really cool class this Sunday also. Different hours that you went, but
Yeah, you went at 9,
you went at 11.
correct?
Wow.
Are we just stating facts? Spitting facts. Who was coaching your class?
I had the wonderful coach Daphne.
The one and only. I did as well.
She ran an excellent class, a Sunday class yesterday.
Yo,
And we're gonna
killing it.
banter topic all things Coach Daphne in this episode.
Yeah, everything that we love about Daphne. So buckle up. It's going to be a 4-hour episode. Get ready.
For those of you guys who don't know Daphne, she joined CrossFit when she was 14 and a bit years old.
Oh my gosh. She was just a little baby.
And she had done some running with us before that as well, and some yoga in the parks when you were teaching
During
those.
COVID, yeah. I've
And-
known Daphne since she was like 5.
Yep. I have not. I've only known her since CrossFit Max.
Yeah, but arguably you probably know her better than me now.
Well, yeah, she's been doing CrossFit for the last almost 3 years now.
Yeah. Super consistently.
And a few months ago, she went to go get her level 1, passed her
Yeah.
level 1,
Passed it with flying colors.
and she's been coaching with me the last few months. She's done some solo classes,
Yep.
a lot of classes with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, on Sundays, she's been running her own show
Yo, she
with us participating in the class. And she has been
crushing
crushing it.
it.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's like enough positive adjectives that I could say that wouldn't be like just overly annoying for the listener, but I only have great things to say. Obviously, she's still like a young coach, like she has a lot to
Oh, yeah.
learn, but like every coach has a lot to learn. That's kind of part of the job.
Yeah. Well,
is
right before
learning.
this podcast, I was YouTubing some muscle up drills for our group class tomorrow.
Yeah, and like you're an ultra qualified, super experienced coach, and we all still like pull from things. I was Googling and watching videos yesterday before I had my push jerks to teach this morning.
Yeah, get some inspo, get
Yeah,
some like little
inspo,
nuggets,
get
little
comfortable.
words as well that you want to use.
Yeah. But Daphne has only been coaching for a couple of months solo.
Yep.
She's been coaching gymnastics for years, so she has like experience coaching like groups of people.
Kids, yeah.
In the past, it was children, yeah. Although arguably probably the same.
Yeah.
Same level of attention span, really.
Yeah.
Especially at 6 a.m. You know, everyone's still waking up. Just kidding. Love them.
I feel like our 6 a.m.s are more awake than our 9 a.m.s.
I totally agree. And actually the 6 a.m. class like gives me life.
Yeah.
Waking up for it is obviously hard because it's like super early, but once I'm here, the vibes are so high.
Yeah. But
Anyways.
yeah, so Daphne's been running some group classes solo now. And
Yeah.
some of the things that I've really appreciated from her journey, her short journey in the last, 5 months now,
Yeah.
is that she has like asked a lot of questions and she's acted
Yeah.
like a sponge. So she's
Down
taught-
to learn.
Yeah, she's like taught these things and then asked like, hey, how could I improve that? Or hey, how could I teach this a little bit better? Or she'll look at this while I'm coaching with her. She'll look at this client and she'll be like, oh, is that like person doing this in a different way? And how could I approach coaching them? Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. They could for sure be extending their hips more. So let's go over to them and let's go cue them. And at the beginning, it was a lot of me going up to that athlete and me teaching them.
And her just kind of
And
watching.
her just like listening
Yeah.
and watching and like how I would say things. And then it progressed into her going to, hey, I think that person could be working more on this. And like, yep, like go cue them. And
Go tell them, yeah.
she goes up to them and now she's analyzing movements, she's looking at athletes, and then she's making the judgment call to go and coach them and give them verbal cues, visual or tactile cues. And yeah, I've been really impressed with her ability to want to learn and want to improve.
So important. Yeah.
And then also I've been really impressed with actually how quick she is at picking things up and how she's noticing these little things.
Yeah, like she's noticing who needs help and
Yeah.
who could use a cue to help them get a better position or improve their movement. Something that I've been really enjoying is, well, personally being coached. She gave me two really nice tips during my class yesterday. And obviously as the owner of the gym, it's a little bit intimidating, I'm sure, for our staff members or each other to coach,
Yeah.
kind of to coach the coach, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, yesterday she was helping me with my cycle squat, getting in a better position, bringing my feet closer together. And I'm definitely feeling my quads a lot today. So that was successful.
Yeah. Yeah. She coached me to get a little lower as well yesterday.
So really, I love that she's just like, she's doing it. And then something, I don't know who I seen this from on Instagram, like what famous coach I seen this on, but I see this often. You probably know the reference I'm talking about like being relentless when you're like coaching someone, like keep going until you get them to understand the position. Because sometimes when you're cueing someone, especially if they're new to CrossFit, your first position cue doesn't quite get them where you want them to be. So if you ask them to straighten up their back, maybe they don't quite understand how to do that. So then you tell them, okay, like think about pulling your shoulders back or think about breaking your bar in half, and you try and give them different cues. I've noticed her on multiple occasions doing that, like keep going with people, getting tactile, so touching them when needed and helping them find the position, and only then like moving on to the next client when that person is moving in a way that like is appropriate.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was like, so it's just like I feel like a proud mom watching her, because obviously when she first started here, she hadn't done CrossFit before, and like she was snatching her empty barbell and she was kind of dancing with her feet. And I remember one time
I still
vividly,
have
she
videos of
fell
that.
like on her bum doing
Yeah.
her like snatch because she was just learning. And now she's coaching and running drills through the movement. Not this weekend, but the weekend before, we had snatch drills on the Sunday.
Yep.
And like she was running us through it. Now, obviously she's not perfect. There's like work to be had, but no coach
one's
is perfect.
Yeah. Even I make mistakes all the time.
100%. I
And that's
taught
the
an
thing that
entire snatch drill once, and I called it a clean the entire time.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you were in that class.
Yeah. It's like, hey,
Like,
snatch, it's snatch, not a clean.
You know, like we all make mistakes. We all have lots of room to grow, but being down to grow is just inspirational. And Daphne is definitely my inspiration right now.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, the being relentless on athletes. There's 3 different cueings you can get from a coach. There's the
Right.
verbal, hey, push your knees out. And then You can give another verbal if that doesn't make sense to them, or they squat again and their knees cave
Collapse
in still.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can give them another verbal, or you can give them a visual. So you can show them with your body, hey, your knees look like this when you're squatting. I want you to push your knees like this.
Out. Yeah.
And then they're looking at your knees when you do that, and then see if it helps. And the third thing is the tactile one, so getting your hands on, because even that cue, those two cues, the verbal, the multiple verbal, and then the visual, still doesn't get them in place, which happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for new CrossFitters and intermediate CrossFitters as well, which we're going to be talking about all today.
Yeah.
But then you get tactile with them. Hey, you put your hand against their knee and you say, hey, when you're squatting, I want you to push your knee against my hand, right? And then you're getting hands on with them.
Yeah.
And I think she's doing a really good job of, like you said, being relentless. I can't remember. I know exactly the video you're referring to.
But you don't remember who it was either?
I don't know her name. If I saw her, I would know exactly her. She's one of the CrossFit seminar staff, one of the head coaches.
Yeah, I can
there.
picture her as well, but I have no idea who she is.
I know exactly who she is, but I can't remember her name. But anyways, high up CrossFit coach, and they put a lot of content with her being the coach, and I've sent multiple videos of her coaching and her doing full group class breakdowns to our coaching staff. And yeah, she has some really good stuff. But yeah, Daphne's she's
I
young.
want to say one more thing.
Yeah,
so
go for it.
Don't close up the topic.
Yeah.
I feel you were closing. I have one more thing to say.
Yeah.
One thing that she's been doing, which I admire a lot, and I kind of took a page out of her book this morning, is she comes in way before the class and she plays pretend to nobody. So she practices running through drills out loud using her words to nobody when the gym is empty, on a Sunday at 8 a.m. while you're off running with the group. Yeah. She out loud practices what she's going to say to the group and runs them through that. And I came in early this morning. I came in at 5:30 instead of at 5:45 so that I could do the exact same thing. I practiced my drills that I wanted to run through the group with on the push jerks out loud. And then when the group is in front of you, you've kind of already said it once, so it feels a lot more confident. Yeah. And I just think nobody's above doing that. And it's such a good tool. And just watching her do that shows how much she's dedicated to becoming a freaking all-star coach, a next level coach. So anyways,
it's gonna be really cool to see her growth. Something that she's talked about is how nervous she's been.
Yeah.
And that's totally normal. And that just shows that you care.
100%.
Anyone who's nervous about presenting or doing something in front of a group, it's usually because you actually care. And yeah, she's showed that she's cared a lot about a lot of the coaching elements and about the people as well. So that's been really fun.
And that she could do hard things.
Yep. So today we're talking about intermediate athletes. We've had a podcast on
the beginners.
I guess we might as well just do an advanced one on another day. But
Stay tuned, friends.
We're talking about intermediate athletes.
Okay, who qualifies as an intermediate
Which I feel
athlete?
is a lot of the CrossFit Max members.
I agree.
Because a lot of them now have been doing CrossFit for over a year, maybe 2 years, almost 3 years now.
Yeah, so
which is really cool. So how would we categorize? You can categorize it in a few different ways.
This isn't non-specific categories.
Yeah.
Categorization.
Yes.
Oh, you mean cold acting up?
I can clear my throat here. So intermediate could be a few different ways of categorizing them. Number one is you could say that you've been doing CrossFit for 3 times per week for consistently over a year now.
Right.
I would say that would be one way that you could categorize it. And I'm talking consistently 3 times per week. I would also say that you know, at CrossFit Max, we have the level system. So we see progression based on frequency of group classes.
Yes.
So I would say that if you've done at least 100 group classes, then you are now entering the intermediate phase.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know the color?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Oh, no, technically that's not
green.
true. Green is Green is, oh yeah, it is yellow. I was right. It was yellow. Green
Yellow is 100 classes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
you've done you're doing between 101 to 200.
Got it.
Is
Yellow.
Is yellow. Yeah.
Yellow, level yellow.
Yeah. You could also categorize yourself in the open standard. So now there is a level system.
Oh, it's true. In your CrossFit Games app.
Yep, in the CrossFit Games app. If you did the open, then you could look at what level system or what percentile you finished. And I would say anyone from probably maybe this is broad range here, but let's say 40 percentile to 65, 70 percentile, then you're sitting somewhere in the intermediate. Category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are a few different ways that you could categorize yourself. Obviously, if you've been doing CrossFit for 6 years now and you've done 150 sessions, well, you probably haven't been doing CrossFit that frequently over a very long range or long timeline. Then maybe you really haven't grasped the movements and caught up on the intensity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So these are just rough guidelines.
Yeah. I feel like also you probably know yourself, like, you know when you reach a point where you're like, okay, I'm not really a beginner anymore, but I probably wouldn't quite classify myself as an advanced athlete.
Yeah.
So you could do probably, if you do an honest personal reflection, you could probably plop yourself in that category as well.
I would imagine that most people probably
assess themselves.
Underassess them. They would say, like, no, I'm still a beginner. But it's like, well, you've done 100 classes, over 100 classes in the last year. You're no longer a beginner at this point anymore. You know? Like you've done more than 100. You've had a lot of exposure on lifting. You've had a lot of exposure on Metcons, gymnastics, all those things. So you're no longer a beginner, which I feel like where
people get attached to staying a beginner for too long.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I can picture specific people that I won't name, obviously, but that I feel like they would totally say they're beginners, and I would totally say they're intermediate.
Yeah, and I would say the difference. We'll probably do another episode on this.
Yeah.
But the difference from intermediate to advanced is also a range. It's like a subjective range here, or assessment, I should say. But it's probably more based off specific metrics. Skills that you have, meaning like it's not because you've done 300 classes that you're now an advanced athlete. It's more the fact that, like, okay, you can do a 400-pound deadlift. You can do 5 ring muscle ups. It's more based on certain metrics. Your 5K run is this time. Your 2K time trial on the rower is this time. So there's certain metrics
and
that
if
take
you're advanced, you're definitely doing the open. And so you would have a beautiful number to tell you.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. So... Side note, Susie thought that she was still a beginner.
No, I didn't.
No, intermediate.
Intermediate. I was like, I'm intermediate, right?
And I was like, shut up. You're not intermediate. You're definitely on the more advanced side.
I guess. I feel like I've only recently hopped into the advanced category, though. Like, I'm on the lower range of advanced.
Yeah. Well, you were on pause for also a year because of pregnancy and everything.
Yeah.
So... But anyways, that was a funny little
I guess I'm like go. I'm the example of the person underestimating themselves. I was like, I think I fall into intermediate. And Brandon looks at me like twice, like, no, babe.
You are not.
No.
But yeah, so going back to the intermediate. So you've been doing CrossFit for over a year or maybe 2 years now. You've done over 100 training sessions. You
have CrossFit shoes. You've bought grips. You've got your own skipping rope.
When someone says clean and jerk, you know exactly what they mean. When someone says AMRAP, you definitely know what they mean.
Yeah.
And you know that Bulgarian split squats are going to hurt your soul a little bit.
Yeah. So. Like, you speak CrossFit.
Yeah.
And
you probably
can't help but go to a family function and talk about it a little bit.
Exactly.
You know who you are.
So now that you know who you are, let's talk about the things that you should probably start to prioritize now.
Yeah. So are we saying like how we go from being intermediate to advanced sort of thing? Like, is that the goal? Or just
not necessarily.
how to
Like, what are the
continue being.
yeah.
And we always want to be 1% better, right? Like
Yeah,
we're always
exactly, yeah.
improving. We're always on a trajectory of trying to like be better and level up, I guess, in some way.
Yeah.
But that's not like the goal of this podcast isn't to say like how to get more advanced. It's just like, okay, if you're intermediate, like where do we put our focus?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you focus on?
Okay.
And then going from an intermediate to advanced would be like really sharpening everything and
dialing it in,
and it really
focusing more.
it really requires the want to be an advanced athlete.
Got it.
So now what the first thing I think that is probably the first thing I think that athletes should be focusing on if they're more of a intermediate athlete, you spent so much time learning the technique as a beginner.
Right.
You've really gone on the lighter side for things.
Yes.
You've really practiced positions. And now where I think you should try your best in terms of your workouts is pushing the
Intensity.
needle a little bit. Right?
Taking the training wheels off.
Yeah. Ish, yeah. Yeah, you could say that. Like your strength pieces should start to feel uncomfortable.
Very.
You shouldn't be like, hey guys, we have a 5x5 back squat series and finish in 12 minutes. Been like, yep, I did my 5 sets by 5 already. Like I'm done. It's like, and you're walking around chatting with your neighbors. Like you've just barely done anything, you know?
I'm laughing because like I feel like anybody listening has been that person before. We all were at one point.
Yeah. And in fact, they've actually done 8 sets of 5. And you're like, really? You've done 8 sets of 5 already in like 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. I just took
like,
my rest in between.
It's like cute, funny, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah,
because we all start there. That's how you start.
Exactly. And at the beginning, there's this curve where you learn the movements and you're learning what these weights are and you're kind of playing around and like the coach is telling you to get lower in the squat or pull your chin higher in the pull-up. And there's all these little things that you're trying to get the technique down.
Yeah, perfect the movement.
And you've got the technique and now you're starting to be ultra consistent, right? So there's the 3 stages of
learning a movement.
Learning a movement, or let's say of the CrossFit standard here, where you learn the technique first, or what we call the mechanics in CrossFit. So learning the mechanics of the movements, like how do you properly squat, and then okay, you can do 1 good squat. So now we got to be consistent with that technique. So how many squats can we do? We can do 5 air squats. We can do 10 air squats. We can do 15. Okay, now if we put a barbell on your back, okay, you can do 1 good barbell back squat. Can you do 5 barbell back squats? Okay, this person can now do 5 barbell back squats. Okay, now let's add the intensity. Let's start loading up the barbell.
Right.
So you've done a lot of that for the first X amount of time as a beginner. And now it's time to really start to incorporate a lot more intensity into your training.
Yes.
Which is hard for people.
Yes, because, well, it's uncomfortable.
Definitely uncomfortable.
And when you are just beginning to enter this phase of your training, it does not feel familiar at all.
Yeah.
And so you almost feel like a beginner again in terms of, because when you add the intensity, let's continue with the back squat example, when you're putting on weights where every rep you really need to make sure you're bracing and you're attacking each rep in order to finish your set of 5, and after 5 you're like, what do you mean we only get 2 minutes of rest, and you know your legs are shaking at the end of the session? Well, you're gonna feel like you're new to the movement again somewhat.
Yeah, your body's going to go through some harder adaptations for sure. So there's pushing the needle on the strength stuff. There's also pushing the needle on the conditioning pieces. And I'd also encourage people, when they're beginners, they scale a lot because you have to work on the technique and you have to work on the consistency of your movements.
Right.
But during that process, you're probably building a decent amount of strength still.
For sure.
You're doing a lot of ring rows, like a lot of them. You're doing a lot of jumping pull-ups. Okay, well, now you have the strength to be able to do a pull-up. Like you can do one kipping pull-up, all right? So in the conditioning pieces, when you have a set of 10 pull-ups to do, 10 kipping pull-ups, followed by some running and some air squats and some echo bike, whatever. Well, instead of just, I'm just going to do the scale down version, I'm just going to go to the ring rows here. It's
Which
like,
is your comfort zone.
No. Like, hold on a second. You can do a kipping pull-up right now. Let's get you on the pull-up bar and let's do 2 kipping pull-ups.
Yeah, and then
followed by 8 ring rows after that, right? So there's this movement of coming away from scaling everything and now, again, pushing the intensity factor.
Yes. And I would say as an athlete, it can be mentally tough or frustrating in terms of when you begin to make the movements less scaled, let's say, when you're training, because then let's just say if it's a rounds for time or an AMRAP or something,
Score's going down.
Your score is going to go down, even though you are doing more difficult skills. It doesn't feel nice to think like, oh, I would have done like 2 more rounds if I was just doing the ring rows because I spent a while on those pull-ups. But spending a little while on those pull-ups is worth so much more in your training overall to build up the capacity to eventually maybe be up to doing those 10 kipping pull-ups in the workout. But you have to kind of go through that uncomfortable phase where maybe you're not the first one to finish the workout, or your score numerically is lower and things like that, which like I'm the first person to say like would mentally affect you a little bit, you know, because if let's say you're used to scaling it more and therefore you've kind of become sort of elite in your scaled category, then it's frustrating to feel like you're being held back in a workout by a movement or maybe by challenging yourself on a weight for a dumbbell. You know, if you always take the 20-pound dumbbell, but you're like, you know what, I'm going to start taking the 25 or the 30-pound dumbbell. Well, it's normal that you're going to move slower with a heavier dumbbell.
Yeah, so there's the physical change, and then exactly how you just said that there's definitely a big mental shift. Because now you're telling yourself, I'm going to push the needle.
Yes.
But you're also telling yourself that you're not going to get as good of a quote-unquote score.
Yes.
But we're all here to get better.
Yes.
And no one started with 10 kipping pull-ups.
No.
When I started CrossFit, I couldn't do a pull-up.
No.
I was doing ring rows.
Same.
And I also remember
I think I did ring rows for like almost a full year.
We have Murph. We have Murph coming up. Was it Murph? Oh, I don't actually. It was one of the benchmark workouts, but good flashback here. Many years ago when I started CrossFit.
Brandon loves a flashback. I love a recap, but Brandon loves a flashback.
When I started CrossFit, there was a workout where LP was coaching me, and we had push-ups in it. It was bodyweight stuff, and anyways, there was push-ups in it. And I was literally getting to the ground and I could not push my body up in a push-up. And I started going off my knees. And like LP's like saw me, ran over to me. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, I want you doing push-ups on your toes. And he's like, no, like, and I was like, I just can't push. I just can't push up right now. He's like, take breaks in between. Like, you don't have to keep moving. And I'm just seeing these people next to me flying and running, and they're like moving on from the push-ups and everything. And he's like, hey, just take 5 seconds. Just sit there on your knees and take 5 seconds and then go again. And then I was able to do
your soul.
And then I was like, darn, like I just want to go fast.
And if you try and speed it up because you don't yet have the muscular endurance to, or the capacity to do it, then you start failing the reps again. So you literally have to slow down. Yeah.
So
it's brutal.
So that was a fun flashback that when you said that, it reminded me of that one moment of just seeing people fly by me. And I'm like, like I just want to do more push-ups on my knees.
Giving me a flashback to the push-up workout we had the other week. And I told you to basically F off when you came over to try and coach me because I was just like not having it. And Brandon's coming over and he's like, just like switch. Like you're not going anywhere with these push-ups.
Susie was failing push-up
I was
after
failing
push-up
push-ups,
after push-up.
and I was just like...
She's just like looking at me. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm coaching the group. And Susie would just look at me. And I'd be like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm like, just switch.
This is actually so funny. We had like 10 push-ups to do, but we had done like a test, a 5RM bench before. And I had really like just like maxed out on my bench press, moving the needle.
Well, we had a push-up capacity Metcon after that. It was push-ups and double unders. That's it.
Yes, but the problem was that I had gone so deep on failure on my bench that I had no juice left. Like the muscles were not muscling. Okay, they were like blah, 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 every time I tried to do a push-up, and I was going like one by one, and then it's like I was shocked that I couldn't push myself up, because normally I could do at least like 5, let's say, push-ups pretty easily in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. And I kept looking at Brandon because I was like, help me. But like there was nothing he could do. Yeah. And then he comes over and he's like, well, if you like, the goal of the workout was like to be moving.
Yes.
And I was not moving. And you were like, well, just switch them onto your knees. And I'm pretty sure I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just an opposite situation.
But that was a little bit of a different situation. But it was because the purpose of the workout was different. It
was to move,
And you know, I was being stubborn, but I didn't want to give up on my practice on my toes.
Yeah.
That was just funny.
That was fun, yeah.
Just a random aside there. You just gave me a flashback with your flashback.
So there's pushing the needle physically. There's also that mental adaptation of like, hey, like my score is not going to be as good because I'm going to be doing heavier barbell cycling. You know, instead of going 65 pounds on my cleans, I'm now going to try to do 75 pounds. I'm going to try to go for the RX, and instead of getting 7 rounds in the Metcon, I'm going to get 5 rounds in the Metcon.
Yes, I vividly remember when I was in that phase of my CrossFit training, and I mentally hated it. Yeah. And I would get so annoyed because I used to be able to, when I first started CrossFit, Brandon had already been CrossFitting for like more than 5 years, maybe more. Anyways, when I first started, I was obviously like brand new. I was learning everything for the first time. So I was really scaling the movements back. Yeah. And so because I had the endurance, I was able to kind of keep up with you, but like on the really, really scaled version while you were RXing the workouts. Yeah. And then obviously as I started to enter that intermediate phase and I needed to slow down in order to try and attack heavier weights and stuff, like my scores just ate it, and I hated that because I'm just like a super competitive person. And so I wasn't necessarily having the right mindset. I wasn't thinking that actually this score is better, even though the number, let's say, is smaller of rounds. This score is better because I did a much more challenging version of the workout.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's like the difference. You really need to approach it as like, I'm doing so much more work, even though I might be completing less rounds. Yeah. So in the end, it's a harder workout. So you're still doing a better. Your score number is just an arbitrary number, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and also if you're still scaling the workout, it's also hard because
in the scaled,
like let's say
list.
Let's say the workout RX is 85-pound hang cleans, and normally you do 65, but now you could do 75. 85 is still a bit too heavy for you, but you could do 75. You could get away with it. You could get away with going from 7 rounds to 5 rounds, let's say.
Yep.
And still follow the coach's stimulus for the workout. And yeah, it's still a hit because you put scaled, and maybe you're comparing yourself to your husband or the other athletes in the group classes or the daily stats leaderboard. And you're like, darn, like these people did a round, 2 rounds better than me. So just know that internally you're doing a harder workout for yourself because now you're in that intermediate level and you want to try to progress. And it's not about just always scaling it back. It's about pushing the needle a little bit more.
Love it.
So there's that. Just drew a blank here, but did you have anything that
you... Do we need a recap?
We do not need a recap. Is there anything you thought that...
Like in terms of pushing the needle in intermediate?
Not pushing the needle, but just level? like what they need to focus on a bit.
Well, I think once we are past the sort of beginner learning entry level phase and you enter into intermediatehood, I think a really important element of your training needs to be the like mental willingness to go beyond the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we kind of touched on it with the like weights thing, but I think in terms of like improving and attacking metcons in the cardio side of things, it's increasing the pace, looking at your pace on the rower and being like, can I sustain something a little bit quicker?
Yeah. Like you're just trying to survive when you're a beginner.
Yeah. And you're not, you know what? Actually, this is a really good point. You kind of like led me to what I wanted to say. When you are intermediate, you can start having a little bit more strategy to your workouts.
Yeah.
So like when you're a beginner, you got 4 rounds, you're like, okay, let me just get through these 4 rounds. And all you're trying to do is do the movements in your scaled version to the best of your ability and finish your 4 rounds. When you
I wouldn't even just say the scale though, just say whatever's in front of you. You're just trying to survive.
You're just trying to do it.
Yeah.
Once you enter that intermediate hood, and then as you progress later into your CrossFit career, let's say your CrossFit journey, you start to have a little bit of a strategic approach. Okay, in this workout, let's use today's workout as an example. There's a 200-meter run. There's 4 hang cleans, 8 push press, AMRAP, 12 minutes. You're going to think about, okay, in this workout, like what movement is going to slow me down? In my case, it's the push press. The push press is going to be the movement that was like very heavy and more challenging for me. For me, running is a great way for me to recover, but also to kind of be aggressive because I'm good at running. So then I think about these things going into the workout. Okay, this workout for me, I'm going to try to hold a pace that's a little bit more of a sprint, but not like an all-out send it on the run, because I know I'm going to get slowed down when I get to those dumbbells anyways. I'm going to be able to catch my breath there.
Yeah.
And so you start to strategize and you think about, how am I going to approach this workout? Because you're thinking more than just like, okay, first I have to do a 200-meter run. Once you finish that, okay, now I have to do the cleans, which is more how you think when you're a beginner, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense?
Yeah, that's what we call becoming now a thinking athlete.
Thinking athlete. There
so
we
you're
go.
starting to strategize, starting to understand your pacing. You're starting to understand more the weights. You're not asking the coach like, how much weight should I put on? It's like you kind of know how much weight you're gonna challenge yourself with.
Yeah, when they say moderate, you're like, okay, I know what that means.
You kind of know what that means. Yep. You're gonna start to, like you said, strategize a workout. You're mentally breaking down a workout probably before you even come into the gym.
100%.
You've looked at the workout on Wodify. You're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. How could I strategize this? Where could I break this down?
You've thought about which leggings you want to wear because there's cleans in the workout, and you know, you start to think about those things a lot as you progress. You know, like you don't want to wear your booty shorts if you have hang cleans. It's not comfortable on the thighs. Everybody knows that. Actually, not everybody knows that. Intermediate or more knows that because they've had enough practice, right?
Yes,
At the beginning, you wear your short shorts on the heavy clean day with the hang cleans, and you get chafed legs, and then you go, I'm going to wear leggings next time.
Yep. I have that thought all the time.
I know. You and your hairy thighs, honey. Those tick ties over there.
Yeah. Outside the gym.
Pivot.
Probably you're starting to YouTube, Instagram Reel, TikTok.
Your algorithm is onto your CrossFit
You're
journey.
probably starting to learn some extra things. You're starting
100%.
to look at other people breaking down a kipping pull up. You're maybe coming to class a little bit before, a little bit after, doing some extra work on the side.
Practicing.
So there's definitely an element of like wanting more and just trying to apply a little bit more of your free time towards getting better. It probably starts to happen because you're starting to enjoy it a lot more. Right. Actually, I should probably say that. We haven't said that. At the beginning, typically it's usually a lot harder just because this isn't something you're used to. CrossFit is hard at the beginning, you know.
Challenging.
CrossFit is still hard 10 plus years in, but I understand what I'm doing and what I'm going through. At the beginning, it's the unknown. And
you're sore more often.
You're not recovering properly. You're doing new things. Muscles haven't been worked in a while, etc., etc. So probably in the intermediate stage, you're starting to actually enjoy it a lot more. You're starting to look forward to signing up for your groups and showing up.
Yeah, you got your gym buddies.
Look forward to seeing your gym buddies. You're looking forward to the challenge of the workout that you've seen. Oh yeah, I love back squats. I'm gonna push really hard on these weights. Oh yeah, there's this Metcon. I watched a YouTube video on how to cycle hang cleans better, so I'm gonna try to do that in this Metcon.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like that mental or emotional, I guess, happiness that kind of starts to click in a little bit more, rather than feeling like workout is a punishment. You're starting to now really enjoy it and look forward to it of your day.
And because you've put in enough time that you're going to feel amazing after.
Yeah. Exactly,
you know, at the beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, this is tough.
Yeah.
But later, even if it's going to be a workout that doesn't have your favorite movements, you're like, I'm craving that feeling post-workout. And you know that it's going to be a good feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You probably start to know what movements you like and what movements
you like less.
Like less, yeah. And
we don't hate any movements.
No, we do not. But you probably know that you're decent at some pretty good at some of the movements, and you probably need to work on other movements.
Right.
And you're hopefully mentally starting to look forward to those movements that you need to work on, right? Yeah. Rather than saying, "Oh, I freaking suck at box jumps," and before it would be like, oh, there's box jumps, I hate box jumps, right?
Yeah, now you're like, okay, cool.
Now that there's box jumps, I need to work on my box jumps. Now they're in the workout. This is a great opportunity for me to work on my box jumps. And I watched this YouTube video on how to
be more explosive,
or how to do better box jump overs. Or coach gave me this cue last time that I really liked, and hopefully it wasn't a fluke, but I did really good on the box jump overs last time, and I really want to apply them again on the second time.
Love it.
So, yeah, there's that aspect as well. Also, outside the gym, you should definitely be fueling to perform now at this stage here. So you're at the beginning, you're probably making this big lifestyle change.
Probably not even thinking about it. Like your food?
Yeah. Well, no, I would definitely say I don't know.
At the beginning, I feel like you're just trying to get to your workouts.
Yeah, but I would say at the beginning, people most often just want to clean up their diet.
Okay.
I want to lose weight. I'm starting the gym. I need to eat healthier.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop eating these types of foods.
Right.
And now you've done hopefully a good job in the last year or so, or last 100 sessions, however long that took you.
Yeah.
And you've started to make some healthy-minded decisions on the foods that are going into your system. Mm-hmm. But now you're realizing that, hey, when I eat these foods, or when I time this meal, this happens to me.
Right.
That could be I ate a full meal an hour before the workout, didn't feel so great while I was working out. I felt like I just had a full stomach. Oh, I had this type of meal last night, and man, when I was training the next day, I was feeling bloated, right? Or I don't know what just happened, but I just had the best workout of my life, and I felt like I had an endless amount of energy.
Yeah.
What did I eat recently? What was the last 24 hours of nutrition like?
What did I do different? Yeah.
Okay, well, yesterday I had, a bunch of vegetables for lunch with a nice grilled chicken and some sweet potatoes. And then for supper, I had this really nice steak with some asparagus and some rice, and I freaking loved it. And I got a really good night's sleep. Wow, that's probably why I probably crushed this workout and felt so good. I didn't feel dizzy.
Right.
I felt like I was well hydrated yesterday. I really focused on carrying my water bottle around with me. Man, I just absolutely crushed that workout. It's kind of crazy the fact that I ate really healthy and had a good balance of food over the last 24 hours.
Right.
And now I feel on top of the world and feel like I can do a second WOD.
Yeah.
Right? So you're probably starting to come away from, okay, I just need to fix up my whole diet. I need to change everything. Like, this food is good, this food is bad. I need to not do this on the weekends. I need to cut out this, versus, okay, well, when I eat these foods, how do they make me feel?
Right.
What does this food provide for me? How is this food going to help me recover from my workouts?
Yeah.
Oh, I should maybe start taking this supplement now because I'm deficient. I need to increase my protein because I feel like I'm always sore after my workouts.
Oh my God. And if you have not had freaking Ghost Protein, get the frick on it, people. It's so good.
It is very good. Yeah. I'm on the Nutter Butter right now. And,
oh my gosh.
But Yeah, so you're starting to make these lifestyle changes to help fuel your performance, and then when you realize that fueling your performance also
Actually yields better results.
gives you better results, you're doing extra rounds and extra reps and extra weights on the bar, and you're feeling like, holy smokes, like
I'm on top of the
I'm
world.
crushing. I'm recovering from my workouts. I'm getting good sleep. I also have energy throughout the day. You're no longer thinking about what is healthy and how do I do health, right?
Yeah.
Versus, oh, like I've worked on this, I've been doing this, now I'm taking it to the next level, and now
you're
I'm
trying to
fueling
refine.
from my workouts. I'm going to eat at this time, I'm going to eat these specific ingredients because it makes my stomach feel good, it provides good energy, and now I understand that it's going to help me fuel my workout, and I'm going to get a really good workout.
Yeah, there's like strategy
Post-workout,
involved. Yeah.
I'm going to eat this because it's going to help me recover from my
Right.
workout and have energy while I'm at work after.
100%.
So I feel like that's a pretty well...
I feel like we hit the major point.
Actually, one more thing
Take
to
it
add
away.
to this
Tell him.
is you are also probably starting to retrack metrics in your workouts. So you've now accumulated a solid amount of data, we'll say, over the last extended period of time, and you're starting to retrack metrics. You're starting to hopefully redo conditioning pieces.
Okay, that's what you mean.
You're hopefully seeing a strength increase in your numbers.
So like by retrack, you just mean that you've been around long enough to hit a workout for a second time, let's say when the test comes in, and maybe even a third time for some of our sort of pillars that we test here at CrossFit Max. So you're having a way of comparing previous results with current results. Okay, perfect.
And at the beginning, so as a beginner, we talk about like how there's like this huge like
Every day's a
increase.
PR.
Every day is a PR and stuff. And as you're an intermediate, that doesn't happen as often. So maybe brace for that. But still, as an intermediate athlete, you should still be testing certain metrics.
Yeah, and seeing noticeable progress.
Yeah. And that's still a really cool thing to be. A cool element to have as an intermediate, I find. And yeah. And
Anything
hopefully
else?
you're also taking creatine at this moment.
Come on. people. All the cool kids are doing it, including me.
No.
No.
Okay, so let's end the episode with client of the week.
Pew, 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 pew.
And this client is not an intermediate athlete. They are a beginner athlete.
On his road to an intermediate athlete.
Hopefully soon.
Yes.
And he has been here for, I'm trying to think how long now.
You did his onboarding, right?
Yeah, maybe 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
And he's got a pretty cool name. One of the coolest, if I may add.
Yeah, pretty much one of my favorites names
And
ever.
last week, he showed up. I mean, the last few weeks, he's really been showing up. He's been ultra consistent with his training.
Crushing it.
Kind of reminds me of like a little version of myself when I started CrossFit. But
Don't say
yeah.
that. Now he's going to be my favorite.
Anyways, this client, shout out to Max for being client of the week.
Hell yeah.
Who is, I think he's 19 years old, going to John Abbott.
Yes.
He's
in university.
No, he's not in university.
Oh.
He's at
Really?
Abbott.
I thought I asked him recently.
He's graduating
Oh.
from Abbott at the end of this semester.
Oh, that's
And
what
then
we talked about.
He got accepted into the program
McGill.
he wants at McGill. Yeah.
Okay, that's where Miguel came in.
Yes, gotcha.
Sorry, Max.
And basketball player. He
Hell yeah.
kind of dove in. For those of you guys who know Joanne, his mom, little blonde.
Who does not look like she could possibly have a 19-year-old child.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah. And you know what's also really funny is we got on this random topic the other week with the group class. We were talking about baby sizes. And Max,
Oh my God, I remember this.
Max was in the class, and I was like, "Were any of you guys like big babies?" And Max was like, "Yep, me." And Max is literally
Tall.
my height, 6
Yeah.
feet tall. Not like he's tall, but he's not huge. And he's like, "Yeah, I was like 10.5 pounds." And I was like, "What?"
That's crazy.
Shout out for Max for being client of the week and Joe for being client of the decades for pushing him out here. But yeah, so Max has just been a really good joy to have in the class. He's always asking so many good questions. He's always mindful about his technique.
Super coachable.
He's doing all the things that a beginner should be doing, of like making sure your technique is down, and then working on your consistency, curiosity, like you said, and making sure he's moving well, attacking workouts, understanding things well. He's always bringing good vibes, smiling.
He's just a nice dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So shout out to Max for being client of the week.
Keep up the good work, buddy, and you'll be in that intermediate profile very, very soon.
Hell yeah. And we'll call it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you intermediate athletes got some good value out of this and are on the way to becoming advanced soon.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you in the next one. See ya.
Bye.